Hello and welcome back to the Ultra Films channel. My name is Evan, I'm the producer here, and I'm here to talk to you about Young Justice, episode 15, Ebb Tide. Now, this is getting quite interesting. A lot of these storylines seem very separate, but I feel like they're all about to converge. Now, I don't think it'll be anytime very soon. However, all of this is just... it's all going to pay off towards the end of the season. A lot of these storylines will finish and close, I would assume, by the end of the season. We'll know what's actually going on here. So, Ebb Tide starts off with this scene right here. Clark in the diner, reading about the Roanoke Island disaster. I don't remember exactly what that's a call out to, but I think it's about Clarion and the other Chaos Lord and all that battle that we saw at the beginning of Season 4. I assume that's what it's talking about. So that's the headline he's reading, and then all of a sudden these other people come into the diner, sit right beside him, and say, "Hey, Superman, we need your help." And he's like, "Haha, I don't know what you're talking about." And these are the heroes from the future that we saw at the beginning of Season 4 as well. That we're following Connor. Again, I said this in the last episode. My throat's been a little wonky all week, so I apologize in advance for that. But this is the team from Mars, at least the two remaining members that are approaching Clark to try and get some help fixing their timeline or whatever is going on. So then he flies up and meets them in the sky, and they talk to him and tell him to be at a certain place at a certain time in the near future. And he agrees to do that, and then they tell him, he asks what his job is there, and they tell him, well, Superboy, essentially they want him there to take the place of Superboy in that event, and they say, well, Superboy would always ask himself, what would Superman do? So I think what you should do in that situation is ask yourself, what would Superboy do? And then their timeline doesn't change, they don't evaporate, they don't fix the issue that they went back in time to solve, so it's only assumed that Clark failed, and so they go later in the episode to ask somebody else for help, but we will get to that later. Then we come back to Poseidonus, where crazy stuff is happening. We see the reveal of the prophecy that they talked about previously. Mara reads the prophecy out, talks about a Red Sea with the three heroes coming together, but only one being powerful enough to rise above the rest as the one true king of Atlantis, and of Poseidonus, really. So they go over that prophecy. They try their best to mitigate the talk between everybody, trying to figure out what's really going on. They just try and talk about how to repair the damage that was caused by Ocean Master, and that's the main focus. But then we get this pan back to kind of callback from the last episode where Calder's been pushing himself too much. Calder talks on the phone with his parents about how he's been, kind of just pushing through all the adversity to no end, that there's never going to be a full solution, that there's never going to be a safe world, and that sometimes he's going to need to take time off for himself. And Calder obviously doesn't want to do that. They also express how Calder was like their rock for them him growing up through his entire childhood. He had to keep his mother together. His mother was depressed all the time. His father was not honorable and not even a great guy. He worked with Black Manta, and so there's all this guilt that they feel for forcing Calder into a not so great life, but he still, because of the man he is, came through that on top, and he's just a good dude. But obviously they want him to take a break, and at the worst time possible, a giant fire explodes in the ocean. And so Calder has to go and help fight against that. So essentially, Orin, Mira, Calder all go out to try and stop this giant fire from spreading out and destroying Poseidonus. So Mira uses her magic to wrap it with an eel. I'm pretty sure Calder just uses, there's the Red Sea that's part of the prophecy starts unveiling when the fire just starts exuding this red ooze into the water, and it starts just killing everything it touches. Orin is in the circle, or in the bubble, and that Calder has made to keep them safe. And then there's one of the delegates, or this like somebody important in Poseidonus is like trying to swim away from the Red Sea that's branching out, and Orin goes and saves him, but then bumps into Ocean Master, who we talked about last time as well. And then they have a brief conversation about how he doesn't deserve to be there because he's not helping, or he's like, hey, I have to help save the ocean. And he's like, well, you're not gonna get away with this for what you've done. And he's like, yeah, well, I think I will, because the Red Sea was coming. So then Ocean Master goes and he uses his trident and his magic to try and stop this Red Sea from expanding as well. And then, just like the prophecy says, the third member shows up with the ultimate power to stop this Red Sea from expanding, and they quell the fire. This is the same mysterious man that we've seen before, and it's actually Arion, the son of Vandal Savage. And so he's just come back out of nowhere practically to do his duty to save Poseidonus and save the people of Atlantis. Yeah, so that's something. Then the one weird piece is, so obviously this was the act of a Chaos Lord, and it wasn't Clarion. It was just one of the other, Lords of Chaos that just decided to show up on Earth and do that, apparently. Whereas, for whatever reason, we see Dr. Fate leaving the area. And that's kind of just this weird piece that doesn't make sense. Why is Dr. Fate there? Why is he not helping? What is going on there? Dr. Fate is, again, was previously at this Roanoke Island disaster, and he's been shifting bodies in between all the different students that Zatara had. Or, I'm sorry, Zatanna. So he's given up Zatara's body to jump back and forth between all the students and Zatanna and Zatara. So I don't know what's really going on there. I don't know if that's something to do with those bodies weren't powerful enough to quell the Lord of Chaos that was there, or if there's something deeper going on between the Lords of Order and the Lords of Chaos that we'll discover. Could be a couple different things. But obviously, the magic that Arion uses is like gold, just like Dr. Fate. So when I initially saw him, I thought he was like another Lord of Order who had showed up with Dr. Fate to help, and then Dr. Fate just left. But I don't know if that's the case. I think there's going to be some bigger, deeper plot with Arion. We also, so this is completely different. The main storyline, obviously, of this is the Poseidonus stuff. We obviously get some of the Connor storyline as well in this episode. So he's jumping from rock to rock, chasing this red trail, the only infrared thing that he could see on this in this realm, and it ultimately ends up being some monster that starts slashing him and tearing him apart. And Connor has to come to terms with like, hey, I can't fight this thing. It's gonna kill me here. I have no idea where I'm even at. I need to just chill out. And once he does that, the monster goes away. It was attracted to him for his anger that he was giving off, his emotion. So I think this world has something to do with souls, or I mean, obviously souls, because that's all that's left of Connor and this other girl. But obviously we see him hallucinate Barry. We see him hallucinate, I'm sorry, not Barry, Wally. We see him hallucinate McGann. And in the last episode, we'll see him hallucinate somebody else as well. Excuse me. Outside of that, the last thing that happens in this episode is those aliens that had approached Clark, or the future. Call them aliens because they're all aliens, but they approach Bart and ask him for help, because Bart has firsthand knowledge of how to fix timelines and how to adjust and shift to life being displaced. So I don't know what they're going to come up with, or if they're going to time travel or do anything like that, but they're setting up quite a bit in this episode for episode 16 and the rest of the season. So overall, a very good episode. Trying to remember what else is going on. Basically, no, that's pretty much it. It seems like there's this unfolding potential conspiracy that we'll talk about in the next episode. But that's my review breakdown for episode 15 of Young Justice, season 4. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, peace.